Okay. I see Erica is joining us. Yeah. Well, Gary, since you and I are co-presenting, it's 10:07. I know it's primarily staff that's logged in here. Everybody should be a panelist, including Erica. Um, but if you'd like, we can get started. The presentation is recording.
Okay.
And if folks jump on at any point, we'll just kind of stop, greet them, and kind of summarize the best we can and try to get back to our spot. Does that sound good to you?
Yes.
Yep,
Great.
sounds good.
And yeah, and then feel free to, when I get to your slides, I'm happy to navigate it. And, just let me know, Cindy, next slide, and I can take care of that for you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So this is the third informational workshop for the Road to Licensure pilot program. We're here on May 12th, 10 a.m. We're scheduled from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We have a quick overview of what the presentation is going to be about today. We'll start by introducing our staff, which is logged into our webinar today. Next, we'll talk about the Road to Licensure pilot program information. Number 3 is we'll talk to environmental health staff. Gary is joining us today to talk about CMFO requirements. And Hadley and Erica are here on behalf of City of Woodland to talk about code requirements for mobile vending. So we'll hear from City of Woodland as well. So with that being said, my name is Cindy Perez. I'm an Associate Management Analyst for the County Administrator's Office for Yolo County. And I'm here with my colleague, Berenice Espitia. There she is. And Ben is also an Associate Management Analyst. We're working on the Road to Licensure pilot program together. Laura Galindo is our Interim Public Information Officer, and she can also help direct any questions to us. And she kind of helps with our outreach on our end of the County Administrator's Office. Gary, would you like to introduce yourself on behalf of Environmental Health?
Yes. So my name is Gary Wu. So I'm one of the environmental health specialists here at Yolo County Environmental Health Department. I will also be the point of contact for the CMFO program as well. So I will also go ahead and share my contact information in the chat box as well. If you do have any question regarding like CMFO, feel free to email me or call me, and then I will try to get back to you and get you started.
Thank you, Gary. This presentation will be updated and posted to the website as well for folks to access and page through. And next, if we could hear from Hadley or Erica on behalf of City of Woodland, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. My name is Hadley Ward. I'm an assistant planner with the City of Woodland. I'm here with Erica Baumgardner, Deputy Community Development Director for the City of Woodland, and we'll be going over some of the code requirements. So if you have any questions, feel free to email us or give us a call. Our contact information is there on the slide.
Yep. Good morning, everyone. Erica Baumgardner, Deputy Community Development Director with the City of Woodland.
Thank you, Hadley. Thank you, Erica. We also have some other staff here that have been involved with our Road to Licensure and may be able to answer questions. All right. So moving into our Road to Licensure pilot program, I want to be really clear about what does this program do? What are some of the incentives or benefits that you've received from the program, and what does it take to qualify for approval? So first things first, the Road to Licensure pilot program is comprised of 3 supports. The first one is education workshops such as this for application assistance. And so, we want to be sure that you know who can help you through this process, as well as what are the steps to fulfill the application process. This is the third workshop, and we're making sure that this is recorded for future reference. This recording will be placed on our website, so you can watch as many times as needed and access that information. Secondly, the Road to Licensure Pilot Program offers a CMFO equipment grant up to $1,000. We'll talk a little bit more about what a CMFO is and what that equipment looks like. But these grants are a reimbursement model. So, you'll receive assistance to know what is a CMFO, how can you purchase one? And if you go through our Road to Licensure Pilot Program and you are approved, you can qualify for a reimbursement of $1,000 towards your equipment. Thirdly, we have our fee waiver opportunity, which is to drop the initial county fees for the first year. And this covers all of the initial fees all throughout the process for putting your business together. And so if you qualify and you are approved, we will waive those fees for you in the beginning for the first year. All right. And so to qualify for these benefits, we have 3 eligibility criteria. We ask that you're a resident of Yolo County and are able to provide an address within the county. Secondly, we do have an income criteria, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like. We're hoping to help folks out who need it and who need that assistance. And thirdly, we hope to support folks who have never had a business before, first-time entrepreneurs and folks who haven't been permitted yet. So with that, if you qualify with this eligibility criteria, we ask that you provide a list of required attachments to your application so that we can verify your eligibility and you can receive the necessary approvals. You'll see a list of 6 different documents, and we'll talk about how to acquire each one and what the packet looks like. So we do provide a packet that contains all of these attachments in one place, the best we can. And in our slideshow, and we do have the links provided as well so that you can access the application packets. These are also located on our website. And so what I'd like to do right now is just show you kind of where that is so that these resources become accessible. So in looking at the Road to Licensure Pilot Program, this is a link to the Yolo County website. This is where you can find the application packets as well as a walkthrough of this information. This is also the web page where we will post the video for this webinar. And I'd like to start by taking a look at the application packet so that you can see the required documents and all of the information in one place. You'll also notice the application packet is also provided in Spanish, and we're able to provide Spanish support services. So, if you choose to give us a call or an email, we are prepared to help our Spanish-speaking residents. So with that, in looking at the packet, this kind of walks us through those requirements and those eligibility criteria that I mentioned earlier. You want to be able to answer yes to these 3 questions to be considered eligible. If you answer yes to the first 3 questions, then the second part is to gather the required attachments, which was the list of 6 documents provided in this packet here. The first is to have the packet filled out. That's going to be Doc A. These applications are for the fee waiver application as well as the CMFO equipment grant application and agreement. And so these are the 2 benefits I mentioned earlier. You may apply for one or the other or both simultaneously. I would recommend just applying for both. And we, will grant your approvals as appropriate. So next, We do require proof of Yolo County residency, so we ask that you provide a utility bill, a driver's license, or another proof document with your name and your address. The food service establishment application is DOCSI. You'll notice this one-page form is linked within the packet here for your convenience. And there's a direction to please check the box for either a CMFO high-risk operation or a CMFO low-risk operation. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. But for now, the way to think about it is high risk typically involves uncooked meats and elaborate sort of preparation of meals versus a low risk, which was mostly snacks or cut fruit, something more simple, okay? So 3 more. We do request that you provide a food handler certification card. This is a $10 online course. We provide the link here to ServeSafe, which is a reputable organization that's able to provide the class for you. This is a 1-hour commitment, $10, and at the end they allow you to print your certification card. And so this is going to be part of the materials that you include in your application. Second to last, we have Doc E. This is a CMFO proposal questionnaire form also linked here. I'll open it real quick. It's a very simple form. It has a little bit more information about the CMFO. But importantly, this questionnaire is essentially for you to share your idea. What is your business idea? This can be, you know, mostly hypothetical, just what is your vision for this business so that we can help support your vision and understand what you may need to do in subsequent steps of this process. All right, so it's linked there. And then finally, we have the food facility plan review form. This form is once we have an idea of your business and your vision for what you would like to sell, we try to provide support for the plan review stage, which is what kind of equipment you will be purchasing and what are the requirements associated with that particular menu, and CMFO requirements for that particular menu, right? So again, we have environmental health staff prepared to help you through this form. And these are related to our state requirements. So with that, those are the forms that are required as part of the application. Oh yeah, I should add, the pilot program application packet is due by June 30th for review. So it's coming up pretty soon. So we just want to make sure we flag that deadline of June 30th. If there's any incomplete materials, we can try to work with you to try to finalize your application. And you know, we want to help as many people as possible. So, you know, try to submit what you can by June 30th and expect us to reach back out. To submit the application, you can write an email to cmfo@yolocounty.gov. This email address is important because it connects all of our pertinent staff at the county to support you and to be able to review your materials together. All right. And so with that, here's again the list of required documents in the packet. We also have the department and division in the county and the direct staff contact to be able to support you with each part of the application process. So for myself, because I am in the county administrator's office and I'm working with the Road to Licensure pilot program materials, I'm happy to help you with the packet. Environmental health and Gary, as well as Michelle, will be able to support you with the environmental health aspects of the application and their paperwork. And we have the phone numbers there provided if you need to reach out. All right. I won't go through each step by step, but I will let you know kind of what happens. So after you submit your application, environmental health staff and county administration office staff will review each application individually, and we commit to providing follow-up recommendations or approvals within 1 week of your application submission. After your application is approved, The applicant will need to comply with all terms associated with the agreements. Everything in the paperwork will describe the commitments, right, on behalf of the business owner as well as the county. And so after that, applicants approved for the road to licensure program benefits will need to complete all existing feature processes. So one way to think about this program is you receive that initial support almost like a ramp and onto that existing process for licensure, which is reinforced by the state, right? So trying to support as many people as possible through this process. And I really would like to, I guess, stress the pilot program application approval does grant access to the fee waiver and CMFO equipment grant benefit opportunities, but it does not grant access to starting your business operations immediately. So you will need to follow through with subsequent steps and recommendations from environmental health and the city of Woodland, of course. All right. And this is kind of a summary of what I just spoke about. I'll do a little pause here before we move on to hearing from Gary from environmental health. If you have any questions, we've provided our staff contact. Feel free to give us a call or send an email. All right, Gary, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Cindy. So first of all, I just want to say environmental health is responsible for the review and approval of the CMFO. So let's just talk about like what is the CMFO. I'm going to give you like a brief overall general idea about that. So effectively like January 1st, 2023, so the California Health and Safety Code was amended to promote economic inclusion while modernizing the California Retail Food Code, so that like sidewalk food vendor can obtain a permit and then join the regulated vending economics. So sidewalk food vendor will now be classified as compact mobile food operation, CMFO. So what exactly is a CMFO? So CMFO is just a push cart, stand, display, pedal-driven cart, wagon, showcase, racks, or any other non-mobilized and unenclosed conveyance that can be approved to sell prepackaged food and also unpackaged food with limited food prep preparations. I understand that like a lot of operators might have difficulty understand like what is limited food preparations or what kind of a food prep are qualified for that. So the definition, you guys shall be able to find it in our application package, but that's why we have like one of the document in the package, document E, the questionnaire. From there, that is a great opportunity for you guys to come to us, contact us so that we can discuss like if your food operation actually qualify as limited food prep. And then equipment-wise, it must be integral. And then what that mean is just it has to be part of the CMFO. So, and then there's also equipment requirement as well. We want to make sure they are NSF or any NC, ANSI equivalent equipment, so commercial grade. So once again, if you have any question, that will be the time that we will go over your concern during the questionnaire stages. And then from this picture, you will just see a sample of a CMFO, kind of like give you like some idea about like what it look like. Okay. And then Cindy, you can move to the next slide. So CMFO, environmental health requirements. So this actually talks about a little bit more detail about the definition. So prepackaged food sales. So sales of prepackaged food, uncut whole fruit occupying less than 25 square feet. This one actually does not require a health permit. So as long as they are prepackaged, non-perishable, and then your display area is actually less than 25 square feet, you don't have to have a health permit with environmental health. Let me give you one example. So let's just say you have a display area of either 5 by 5 feet or 4 by 6 feet, but you have 4 shelves, that's still within the requirement of a 25 square feet display area. So you don't have to apply for a permit, okay? But anything other than that, you do have to have a permit with environmental health. So far we have 2 categories. One is a low risk, the other one is a high risk. And that will be something that like we can determine at the beginning, like questionnaire proposal stage, to understand what is your operation look like and what kind of a food that you would like to sell. So that way we can give you a better idea if your operation will actually consider as low risk or high risk. For example, an example of a low risk will be like hot dog or churros. And then one thing I want to highlight from this page is a simple menu is highly recommended to build and maintain simple equipment with less environmental health requirement to follow. So here, I will cover this information in the next slide as well, but I just want to let all operators know it's really, really important for you to, when you start your business, I know you guys are all excited about this, just make sure you spend all your time at the beginning to just brainstorming your menu first, because the larger the menu, the more equipment will be required. And then that will also increase the size of your CMFO. And then sometimes some of your food operation, like your food prep or how you want to cook the food, might not qualify as limited food prep that we recently talked about in the previous slide. So I would recommend start with your menu first. And then Cindy, you can move to the next slide. And then this one is going back to like what I just mentioned. So CMFO structural requirement, depending on the types of food that you are going to sell, there will be different requirement. As you can see, what we highlight here is the requirement for a well washing sink and water heaters. So if you are not handling any raw meat, raw poultry, or raw fish, a well washing sink is not required, and then a water heater is also not required as well. And then other than that, all the requirements will be the same. So you do have to obtain a health permit with Yolo County Environmental Health. And then a plan check may be required. And then hand sink is also required for any kinds of open food handling at the CMFO. And then depending on if you are dealing with any perishable or what we call potentially hazardous food, PHF, you are required to have any refrigeration cold holding unit or even a hot holding unit. And then the last one, commissary requirements. So you do need to have a commissary to support the operation of your CMFO, which we're gonna talk about that in detail in the next couple of slides. So Cindy, you can move to the next slide. So investing in a compact mobile food operation. So this actually continue our previous conversation about starting with your menu first. So Yolo County staff like actually recommend meeting the requirement of the food facility plan check, which is document F, prior to investing in equipment to ensure compliance by doing either of the following. So you can either find a standard plan, or you can just build your own. But regardless, like which direction that you would like to go to, it's all depending on your menu, because you are either finding a CMFO that is already pre-approved by another jurisdiction, or you are going to build your own, but you want to make sure your CMFO can fully support your menu. And then based on the equipment that you have on your CMFO, the kind of food preparation and operation that you have to do they qualify as limited food prep? So when you find a standard plan, so you do have to provide a approved model plan by the manufacturer representative that can attest that like the CMFO has been built to a standard plan by an approving jurisdiction. Why this one is most efficient? Because the plan is already approved by the jurisdiction, and then they just build they just have like mass production based on the approved plan. So for this one, you will be able you are eligible to skip the plan check from environmental health, so we don't have to charge you a plan check fee here. So I do want to mention like how much that we charge for a plan check for CMFO right now at this office. It will be $1,526 for a full plan check. So if you are obtaining a kind of like a pre-approved, prefabricated CMFO that will meet your operation needs from, let's just say, Los Angeles County. You don't have to pay for this plan check fee, but we do have to require you to submit your standard operation procedure, so that way we can review if this pre-approved CMFO model will actually support your operation. But once again, you don't have to pay for this plan check fee, and then we can start from there. But we still have to have a final inspection to take a look at your CMFO to make sure all the equipment are operational and that it will support your operation. And then on this slide, the QR code is actually a link to some CMFO or mobile food cart trailer builder in Los Angeles County as for your reference that you can take a look. But once again, you want to make sure all this food truck, whatever they say, make sure they can attest the saying this pre-approved truck is approved by the local jurisdiction to make sure they are approved as either a CMFO or food cart. So sometimes we might have approved food cart that is only approved for a different kinds of permit, and then the requirement might be significantly different to a CMFO requirement. Okay. Once again, this option is the most recommended and efficient. The other one, the second option, to build your own CMFO. So this one will take more time because once again, depending on how much that you know about building the CMFO and all that, this one I highly recommend at the beginning stage. Just have your idea about like what do you want to sell from this CMFO, and then be as specific as possible, and then being able to share all those information on our questionnaire document, which is document E. So that way we can discuss with you in terms of like with the support of a commissary, a approved commissary that you find already, the kind of food preparation that you have to do in between the commissary and your CMFO. So that way we can kind of like guide you the direction to build your CMFO in terms of like what equipment do you need? How many refrigerators do you need depending on your menu? Do you need any hot holding equipment such as a steam warmers? Do you need overhead protection? Like all those information, we can answer your concerns. So that way, when you actually start submitting your plan check, you know exactly what equipment you need, and then you know what types of equipment will be approvable from us, because we can help you to find out what considered as NSF and what equipment is not considered as NSF. So with all this information, then you can pull up on your plans. And then in between, obviously you can change your plan if you want to change your menu or whatnot, but it's much easier to change it on the paper plan than actually changing while you are already building your cart or your CMFO. Once your plan check is approved, you know exactly what equipment that you should purchase, and then it's just all about like putting them all together on your CMFO. And then when you finish, then you will bring to us for a final inspection. So Cindy, you can move to the next slide. So this one talks about a little bit about like commissary. So we understand that like there is a shortage of commissary in our county or in our adjacent jurisdiction as well. So for CMFO, this one, we do actually allow operator to store your CMFO at a private home when it's not in use, up to 2 CMFOs. So for this one, we do require a site evaluation and approval from environmental health. So the way how we do that is we will conduct something called a endorsement inspection. It will be a off-site inspection at your private home to evaluate the following. So does the location where you want to store your CMFO has overhead protection? Is it a restricted area to prevent any unapproved access to your CMFO? Does it provide an area that will prevent vermin harborage or infestation? Is the surface where the CMFO will be stored, is it a hard surface, a flat surface? And also for this location, it must be available to you at all times. So environmental health right now, we do charge for a 2 hours service fee for this endorsement inspections. And the hourly rate is $219 at this point, so 2 hours of that. And then a couple things that I want to mention here is for the private home, if you are leasing this property, so you do have to have the agreement from your landlord about keeping your CMFO, let's just say in the garage. So you do need to get the agreement from your landlord. And also you might want to notify the city as well in terms of you are using your home as part of your business, because storing your CMFO there is actually part of your CMFO business. You want to make sure you get the approval from the city as well. And Cindy, you can move to the next slide. So this one, once again, is talks about the requirement for a commissary. So for CMFO, a commissary is supposed to provide like all kinds of support to your CMFO. One of them, we make an exception about like where you can store the CMFO. So you generally for like mobile food truck or mobile food trailers, that is not even an option for them. You do have to store your CMFO at a approved commissary. So let's talk about like what is a approved commissary first. So a commissary is a permitted food facility where your food is prepared, prepackaged. It will provide you like storage for food, container supplied, storage for utensil to be cleaned and sanitized, and also a place where you can obtain potable water, and you can also discharge any liquid waste and garbage. So you have to have a commissary that can provide you all this support. And then in terms of finding the commissary, it can be any permitted food facility. It has to be a permanent food facility, brick and mortar with a approved health permit with us, or any food facility that is currently permitted as a commissary. If that commissary is out of the county, then you do have to obtain a out-of-county commissary agreement from the other jurisdiction. But we do have to take a look in terms of like logistically, like is your commissary is too far away from where you would like to operate. And then you do have to submit that commissary agreement with us. And then I want to emphasize, you may not prepare food in a private home or any unpermitted kitchen. You might be allowed to park the CMFO at your home, but definitely not prepare food. We do have operator asking us question about like, what if I have a cottage food permit? So cottage food is a specific types of permit that we do allow operator to prepare some very, very limited food item from their private home. So, but this only limit to like you are selling the exact same food that is under the cottage food permit. And most of them are really, really limited, and then it doesn't have any perishable item on the list. But if that is what you are going to sell on your CMFO, it could be permissible, but it will be case by case. We do have to review the kind of food item that you would like to sell. Okay, and then Cindy, you can move to the next slide. Oh, all right. So any questions?
Thank you, Gary. Really appreciate your presentation. And there's a lot of health requirements, but it's possible to do, and we have the staff support to help people through the process.
Yeah,
So
that's why I recommend like all the operator, like rather than spending time and money to start building the CMFO first, I will recommend finding all the help either from us, from the city, from your friend, or from people that who already have a permitted CMFO elsewhere to develop your menu first. Like start from your menu, know exactly like what kind of a food that you would like to sell, and then being able to share those information with us so that way when we help you to brainstorm like, okay, how's my CMFO gonna look like? What equipment do I need? Then we can help you to actually like draft your plan. Even though we are not going to do it for you, but we can let you know like, okay, on your plan check, your CMFO, what should you have? What should you show us? Where's the location of the refrigerator, the numbers of refrigerator that I should have and all that. And then on the plan check, once it's approved, then you guys can just put them together. So
absolutely agree. And I think in prior workshops and conversations, I think we really emphasize a simple menu. So things like cookies, hot dogs, pizza slices, like coffee drinks, some of these things
yes,
may be easier to carry out with a CMFO than a very elaborate meal, right? So
exactly. And then once again, earlier slide, one of the options an operator can obviously do is to purchase one that is pre-approved, either a pre-approved plan or a CMFO that is previously permitted. But I do want to emphasize, I make sure the information that like the operator receive are accurate because once again, there are different types of permit out there. But in order for operator to like skip the plan check requirement, like that CMFO like proposal, like the card must be either pre-approved as a CMFO or recent or previously permitted as a CMFO, not anything else. And then also when you purchase, let's just say you purchase it from a LA manufacturer, they do have pre-approved CMFO, but they were built for a specific types of menu or specific types of food item. You want to make sure before you make that purchase, you want to gather that information so that way you can share with us and see if that CMFO actually match your operation. Because I don't want you to make a purchase, but it turns out like that CMFO is only approved for, let's just say, scoop ice cream, but you would like to do something else that doesn't match with that, then you have to spend more money to either buy a new one or making changes. If you are making changes that will actually void it, the pre-approved requirement, then you have to do the plan check again. So just a friendly tips.
yeah, bottom line, consult, consult, consult.
Yes.
Talk to staff. All right. Well, moving us right along, I'd like to pass it over to Hadley with the City of Woodland. And Hadley's going to talk to us about the city code requirements for mobile vending.
Thank you, Cindy. As mentioned, my name is Hadley Ward. I'm an assistant planner with the City of Woodland, and I'll be going over some of the city requirements. So if you'd like to operate in the City of Woodland, we'll be talking about what you'll need to do. Just a little background, the Woodland City Council approved some updates to the city's mobile vendor ordinances in January of this year. And one of the goals of these updates were to create a more clear process for permitting sidewalk vendors that operate on public property and then CMFOs that operate on private property. So the city has slightly different requirements. There's some overlap with the health department requirements, but the city regulations focus more on the location and then the way you're going to operate and then some of those environmental components, such as the gray water disposal location might be at your commissary or elsewhere. And as you follow along, I highly recommend checking out handouts that are available for sidewalk vending and mobile vending on the city website, and I'll put those in the chat here. So there's the link in the chat if you'd like to follow along. Specifically, the permit application handout has some information about the requirements for permit applications, all the different documents that you'll need to provide. And then there's also handouts for the just general requirements for mobile vendors. So you'll see on this slide, there's some information about the mobile vendor permit application. All mobile vendors that want to operate in the city of Woodland are required to get a mobile vendor permit and then a business license with the city. The permit application fee for the mobile vendor permit is $100, but that fee is waived through June 30th to align with the county's Road to Licensure program. So if you're looking to operate a CMFO and you apply before June 30th, that application fee will be waived. The city business license fee will still be $114 throughout that time. And then just generally, this slide summarizes some of the application requirements that you'll need to submit for your mobile vendor permit application. This is just a summary, so if you look at the handout on the web page, that permit application has a list of more details there. And I just like to emphasize as well, one of these requirements is a copy of the county health permit. So in order to submit your application for a mobile vendor permit with the city, you'll need to provide a copy of your county health permit. So you'll need to get that county health permit first before you can officially submit your application for the mobile vendor permit with the city. However, we definitely recommend reaching out to the city while you're starting your application process with the county for that health permit, so that we can help you navigate some of those location requirements or some of the other requirements that may be applicable, just so you have a heads up while you're doing the county process. And that will help streamline things a little bit, so that once you finish you get your health permit from the county, you can formally submit your application with the city, and you'll have some of those requirements figured out beforehand, to make it a little bit more streamlined. Okay, next slide, please. You. So this slide goes over some of the location requirements for mobile vendors. The city bases the requirements for mobile vendors on two types. So there's roaming vendors that move every 30 minutes, kind of like a food truck or an ice cream truck, or maybe an ice cream cart that's, moving constantly and stopping only to sell to customers. And then there's stationary vendors, which are vendors that are in one location for more than 30 minutes. So maybe you have the same location that you sell food from every single day. That would be a stationary vendor. It's really important, specifically if you're a stationary vendor, to talk with the city about where you're thinking about selling, so that we can make sure that your potential location can meet those location requirements. And if you're going to operate on private property, one of the things that is required for the mobile vendor permit process is that you provide authorization or proof of authorization from the property owner. So you'll provide proof that the property owner is allowing you to sell on their property. And then just a couple of the other requirements that I wanted to point out. The city does not allow vending on vacant sites or standalone parking lots. There's also no vending allowed on sites that are gas stations. So areas that have lots of car circulation or lots of vehicle circulation, vending is not permitted due to safety concerns. And then there's some general distance requirements. So vending is not allowed, for example, within 25 feet of a driveway. We want to make sure that you're a safe distance away from vehicles, and then vending is not allowed within 20 feet or 200 feet from a brick and mortar restaurant, unless you're directly affiliated or part of that restaurant. So we understand that some of those location requirements can be a little bit confusing, and that's why we highly recommend that you come in and talk to the city first while you're figuring out the county health permit process, so we can help you verify different locations, and so you can find one early on in the process that will work for you. Next slide, please. Thank you. And then similar to the county environmental health, there's some overnight storage requirements for CMFOs. So just generally, CMFOs can be stored at the approved commissary. They can be stored on a residential property if fully screened from public view. And if it's going to be on a residential property, as Gary mentioned, it needs to be approved by environmental health. Or they can be stored in a city-approved commercial or industrial location that you can't see from the street. Again, that would need to be approved by county environmental health. Yeah, so that's all of our requirements. Again, highly recommend checking out the handouts on the website and then contacting city staff if you have any questions.
Thank you, Hadley. And I'm sharing my screen for a moment. I clicked on the link just so folks know what the website looks like and can kind of anticipate navigating and finding this information. I noticed that you also have it provided in Spanish as well. All right. Well, we have reached the end of the presentation. I wanted to, thank all of our staff involved in helping make the Road to Licensure pilot program work for folks. And, for those watching, maybe on the website, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is provided to help you through this process. And with that, I'll sort of conclude this presentation. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.